Is that a VC man I spy with my little eye? Did we? I officially am ending my hiatus. Is OMG? Hey, hi. How are you today, VC? I've been busy off. I'm tired but good other than that. Yeah, I'm also sleepy. I just slept. I haven't been sleeping. I've been addicted to Final Fantasy. I'm actually scared to check what my playtime was. It was 3 days like a couple weeks ago. All right, it's at 7 days. Okay. I think I checked this a week ago and it was at like 2 days, 15 hours or something. 2 or 3 days, 15 hours. So I've over doubled my playtime in this game by a couple. And as a reminder for those wondering, or who don't know, this is like whatever 7 days, 24 hours is, and then add another, oh, it's 22 hours and 45 minutes. That's like a lot of hours. That's hundreds of hours. Oh. I think that is close to 100 hours. Oh god. Yeah. The fact I've been playing this game again for 2 weeks and my total playtime is basically 8 days is a little concerning. Because I just made this character. I don't know, maybe it counts AFKing. I don't know. I have been grinding though. I want to get all these to 40. I don't think I can do it today. I'm so close for most of these, which I think the thing just reset at 4, so I could probably do these now. I got 1. Oh, that's how you see the desynthesis skill. Oh. I see. Yeah, I hit 40 on a lot of these today. And then I hit 50 as well today. I had a tweet low-key pop off. It was really scary. So I'm just like, whoa. I'm just a girl. And I had a tweet pop off and still getting notifications for it. It's been a day. It's been almost a day. And it has like over 200 likes. I'm used to like maybe 1 like. Maybe a pity like. I'm not used to it. Yeah, another tweet popped off. Let me pull it up. Make sure this doesn't dox me or anything, but love Twitter. I love how it says X, but it has the Twitter logo on here. I literally just got another, okay. I'll do this one. Garrity new tank, OMG. Girl gonna be a Twitter star, stop. DG, is this because you saw my tweet or are you just like very much guessing? Because that is actually what the this is the hold on, fuck, that's not how it does. I got lost in a manor. I've got lost in Hawk Manor, which is my favorite dungeon. I got lost in it the other day. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna make a little tweet about it. And then as you see, I've been perceived almost 3,000 by 3,000. 200. My friend works in social media marketing. She was like, oh, that's my adds a lot of impressions, guys. That's a lot of engagements too. Yeah, all the comments were relating to me and I was like, oh, I was like, okay, good. And then some people give a lot of good advice. So we are gonna do that today. Did it just come up in the wild and you're like, oh my god? Lumin. Also, the dragoon armor is so cunty. Oh, phone just fell. All right. We. You're like, oh my god, I know that person. She's supposed to be on hiatus. Where am I going? Oh yeah, I finally am doing my. I never did this before. I'm doing a relic quest. And then Mr. Daeva wanted me to do Hildebrand, Inspector Hildebrand quest. That's like something he's been mentioning to me since I restarted the game. So I was like, okay, I should leave breadcrumbs to find my way out. I really should at this point. I think the worst part is I was wall-to-walling. I just skipped a couple of rooms that we needed. I need a couple of these. Ooh. Oh. Shit. Trying to remember, I've had to play Dragoon in fucking, what's it called? Duties? Not used to that. Hello? Hello, Duke. Oh, not you two, DG. Hold on. I'll properly acknowledge it in a moment. Yeah, that's what my boyfriend said. Mr. Daeva, he's like, it's so peak. He's like, what do you mean you've never done it before? Because I never played it. I'm doing good. How are you doing? It's so peak. The quest is so fun. Yeah, they were like, him and his friends are like, it has the best cutscenes. He always does the dance you get at the end of it in ARR. I don't know. He always does that dance to me. We start Stormblood? Yeah. Can't wait to get back to Stormblood. But Mr. Daeva and I will be doing the main quest line together from now on. So I'm just grinding things until he gets that done. I told him he doesn't want to play Dark Knight. It's funny. My boyfriend says he can't play Dark Knight. He said that he aligns more with Paladin, you know, like the hero aspect and stuff. And then here's me, who the only tank I like is the Dark Knight. I don't know if that says anything. My boyfriend's white. Oh my god. But Dark Knight's so much fun. And he's like, I just love the virtues of like the Paladin lore and stuff. And I was like, sir. I was like, why are you playing the White Knight and then I'm the Dark Knight? I was like, what the fuck kind of shit is this? I said, we're fulfilling stereotypes. Yeah, let's go fight more. I like skipping this way. Oh, that's a fate. A whole fate. We're gonna do it from this side. The other day, I tried to do an elite hunt. How dare you accidentally stereotype? Cancelled. Yeah. I forgot I had cats for a second, and it like, I just got scared to death. Oh, yeah, I almost accidentally did a elite hunt the other day. As you can imagine, I learned that I am not built different just because I'm level 50. I am not that girl. I've never, oh, die, it's crazy. I ran away so fast. Yeah, I like Reaper. I'm playing Dragoon. My boyfriend wants to learn Viper. I like Rogue for Ninja, which is also, my uncle would have a field day with that one. Hello, dear sir. He is, yeah, this Dragoon was my starting class. And this is the relic for it. The relic questing. That's a big boy. Ah! Listen, hear me out. Hear me out. We can talk about this. We can talk about this. Okay, let's not do all that. Let's not do all that now. Oh. Oh, I can do this. Oh, hold on, I have to allow this. Right? Yeah, they're like, don't worry about gear. I don't, like, I need to look good. Which thankfully, all my other, astrology and I just unlocked. And well, I haven't done it for Dark Knight because I like the that I have for Dark Knight right now. Because it's from Hawk Manor. But sorry, I'm like focusing as well. Make sure I do this right. I did not plan on entering a fate. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's from Hawk Manor, and I just love it so much. Oh, my ass is gonna do this. Yoop. Oh. I do be raising them up. I do be getting the hose. Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh, I completed the fate. Thank fucking God. You know what users is? Yeah, die. Look at all of them. Just sitting there. All peaceful, like, you know? They don't know. They don't know. I'm lying in wait. I do not want to. The fuck? Okay. Making bad decisions. That's all I meant to hit. Okay. Okay, trust. Oh shit. You know what? Maybe not trust. There's so many of these things I have to defeat. Holy shit. And that's not even getting started on the fates. I'm scared for fates. Yeah, people have been so nice in this game lately. I've been crying over it. Nice essentially community for real. And you guys know Valorant stressed me out so much I had to take a hiatus. And in comparison with Final Fantasy 14. Alright, so I need to kill these. Yes, I'm gonna jump around my chocobo, which I just realized I can summon it. Oh. There you go. Follow me. Oh, look at what I did. Look at him. Look at him. He's got a horn now. I love him. Let me see if he has any. No, I'm meant to hit. Okay. Alright, let's go. Oh yeah, playing duties as Dragoon, kind of terrifying. Not gonna lie. It's first just watching him die. Yeah, get him, chubs. Yeah. No, but I've gotten very close to leaving the arena just before it locked down. I did see a paladin get knocked off, or not a paladin. I did see our tank get knocked off on Amdador, something keep. That starts with an A. I did witness that today. That was pretty funny. No, but I've gotten very close. Unfortunately, I am hyper aware of it. I just need one more swift. Perfect. Put a mama. So yeah, I'm saving this quest, the rise and fall of... Oh wait, should I just move myself? Okay. Oh. Okay. I just flipped everything horizontally, so it should be fine now. Yeah, I heard it extends like every single thing. So they said Mr. Daeva is in ARR. So once he's done with that, we'll be continuing it. I have to go to let's go to foundation real quick because I have to drop something off. Actually, I'll save it. That's a level 50 quest I don't need to do right now. Anything for Ishgard, I'll push off for a little bit. I don't want to actually start anything till Mr. Daeva. Mr. Daeva, who should be calling me shortly. Which reminds me, I have something to tell you guys. Well, DG, do you play Final Fantasy? Oh, I feel like, okay, DG, do you actively play Final Fantasy, I should say? I think I'll put it in a server cert. Hildebrand's their duties. I've had to wait 2 hours once to complete it. Ooh. Yeah, thankfully I'll have, I have a group. You used to, okay. Maybe I'll put it in the Final Fantasy 14 channel first. I have to go to Halatali. Synthanalan. Camp Tribone. Do I have to do anything else with family? I'll go to Mordona first. I'm supposed to get news tomorrow too. Or in like 12 hours. Or 15-ish hours. But. Oh. I'll put it in server. That is more than fine. That is not what I was gonna ask you. I was given something when I turned level 50. And I was going to ask if you wanted an invite. Listen. Oh, not that one. Wait. Why am I here? Oh, that's why I'm here. I got the level 50 tool. I literally have that aetheryte, you little... I'm gonna be fine. Yeah! Wait, the ring? I don't know. We do not know what we're doing. Because of fucking... Wait, you mean this ring? Hold on. Wait. Oh, I can just pull this. Oh, hold on. Don't talk. Okay, you can talk now. I forgot to hide Discord. Oh my god. I just had a heart attack. Yeah, but I We're in a two-party consent state. Yeah, DG, the way it works, as far as I know, is you both have to have the promise of devotion in the same tier, or else you get the whatever the lower tier is. And then you have to be in a party of 2 and then do the quest together. It's how it was explained. Yeah, our ceremony. And as you see, chat. Well, I didn't invite them yet. I was gonna put in my server first. Plus, we have to get our pictures. No, because we have to do the Hildebrand quest tonight. How? Ooh, I will kill you, DG. I will end you. I will end you. Listen. I'm just a girl. Okay, a man switches his race in Final Fantasy 14 for me so we can match and have good pictures, and then gets me the platinum promise of devotion, and is visiting me IRL in a couple weeks anyways. Okay, I hate that I fixed this so that you can actually do that to me, and this is what you guys do to me. Now you guys are not invited to my actual wedding. I'm not giving that invite out. Don't start with me right now. Don't start with me right now, mister. Oh, I was checking what this is. Okay, what master crafting tomes? Ah. Huh. What? Oh, what? Oh! Oh! I see what you're supposed to do here now. Sorry, I was looking at the master crafting thing. Well, we haven't even gotten it yet. I didn't even tell chat that I bid on one. Well, I guess I just did now. Oh! Oh. But they can hear me. They can't hear you. Oh, I just got my interview email. Okay. I have an interview. What's UTC? At the calendar. Yes. Hell yeah. I have my interview. Oh, it's at 1 p.m. Fuck. Alright, so I have to clean in everything. Chat doesn't get... Because that's what it... Chat doesn't get to hear the BF well. It's because he's in his car driving. Once he's at his setup and sounds nicer... What? Not to say you don't sound nice. My beautiful, handsome Shavakadu. But... But, you know, this may be a degenerate stream, but there's some quality. We provide high quality services here. I see you have to turn this in. I will actually kill you. Don't you fucking touch that shit. All right, so master leatherworker, you need hard hippogriff letter, which I can make. Okay, I see. You just have to make a high quality. And I have this. I was wondering what these were for. What'd that do? Use. Oh, I learned multiple wet leatherworker recipes. What'd I learn? Where does it tell me what I learned? Honestly, how would I even know what I learned? How would I know? how would I know? I don't know, but I have nothing else to use these for, so. Where am I? Oh, I have to go do a dungeon now for my relic quest, which is very scary. Doing dungeons. I have to do Halatali. Oh wait, do you want me to just wait for you? Yeah. Already got the what? What's that? What do you mean Atma? No, not yet. Relic Reborn, yeah, I'm doing Relic Reborn. Yeah, so actually I have a tracker over here. Let me find it. I have a relic progress tracker. So yeah, you have to do broken weapon, class weapon, complete, Beastman, Hunt, complete a relic reborn, the Hydra. So that's what I have now. Obtain White Hot Ember, obtain Howling Gale, obtain Hyperfused Ore, and then yeah, there's no Atma. Oh, is it the Radzad Hung quenching oil? No. Oh. Oh, okay. So then yeah, I'm doing all this stuff before that. Uh-huh. So you're telling me to queue this dungeon by myself? Okay, then I'm just gonna do my daily and give the people what they want. Which is me doing a random leveling dungeon. That's a Dark Knight. I'm scared. I'm scared. For every my sibling did that quest for every class and got every weapon. If you know what it takes to get just one, that's insane. Oh god. Well, maybe we can do random dungeons as a tank, and I can learn tank. Now let's do this leveling dungeon as Astrologian. That feels like a better idea. I'll learn tank with friends. Let me not. Oh, it's level 16 dungeon. Great. Scary tank time. But I can do scaredy tank time. I'm just gonna do it for dungeons I know and not this one. For example, imagine if I got this as tank. I don't remember this shit. Actually, I might remember this shit. Okay, well, you never remember nothing in like life, okay? This is not. You have carefree. I'm gonna shank you. I think I might shank you. You are not gonna survive your trip to see me. Oh. I don't remember how to be a fucking. What's it called? Oh, they ran away before I could heal them. Oh, I'm dying. What's with many women I know wanting to shank their boyfriends? Listen. They bring out our violence. Like, they're like the only men we tolerate, and they still are stinky. Also, you guys say this, and yet the men love it. They're exactly where they want to be. I've threatened to bite this man, and he'll say, "Don't threaten me with a good time." Like, down bad. And yes, I just outed you. Because that was actually diabolical to say. The men are secretly into it. No, there's no secret about it. They They're not secretive. Uh-oh. I'm still not over that. I think I told Ashley about that today. I was like, what is it with men? And being like, yeah, my girlfriend threatens to beat me, but it's okay. I'm right where I want to be. And they say I'm mentally ill. Okay. Proving my point. Oh, that's the wrong button. Okay, and this is why you're muted on stream. Who is moaning in my ear? Be clear, it is not my boyfriend. Okay, Mr. Okay, I need to get your fucking signature for this fucking. Unless it went away. No, it didn't go away. For this thingy thing. Why are we shanking people? Why wouldn't we shank people? That's the real question. And it's not just people. This is my partner in crime. Oh shit. You're not committing any crimes. Oh shit. I hit the wrong thing. I get paid either way, cast heal. Yeah. You're not committing crimes at work. I'm actually not even in a party with this person yet. He's just on Discord right now, driving home. Okay. What? Right where? What the fuck? And no, I have not set up a macro because... Oh. I didn't do that. Because... I can't do macros. There is a limit to what I do. Macros is the limit. It's taking me through stories. Maybe I'll eventually optimize when we do the I do steal other people's macros. What I was gonna say though was I'll probably actually look into doing all that when we start doing our actual rating group stuff. But until then, I'm not optimizing anything. I'm not optimizing my stuff until my life is on the line. No, I appreciate you. I see you're fine. It's just reminding me I'm scared. I'm scared of Isaac. As a second healer, I'm very scared of Isaac. So I'm like, I should optimize something, but also I'm just a girl. Yeah, the bar is in hell, I guess. Why am I getting bonked? What'd I do? What'd I do? Now, no, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Oh. Oh God. Apparently, you already know this, Eli. Or DG, however, in chat doesn't know this. I don't know if you saw it in Final Fantasy 14 chat at my server DG. But I just had like a little question and then I got judged. I was just wondering, like, you know, why is you know, beating's kind of, you know, like maybe it's just me, but it shouldn't be. Cause listen, hear me out. Hold me back. Oh God. Listen, okay, it's because I was doing the leather worker level 50 quest, and it was just whatever angle they used, I was like, ooh, actually, hello, sir. I'm not married yet. I can say it. Okay, Mr. gets jealous of Harshafont. Don't you even start with me. DG, I was telling my boyfriend about Harshafont. And I was like, oh, that's my husband. And he's like, yeah, but you guys didn't do your ceremony yet. And I was like, that's because of what happened to him. And he's like, yeah, well, still no ceremony. Like, if I could, I would. Don't make me choose. He died for me. Would you die for me? Okay, well, I wasn't expecting that response. Oh, well, you did the ceremony. I said yes. I accepted the trade. Oh, I'm gonna die. Now Lumin didn't ceremony him before he died. Listen, I sat on his lap. What more do you guys want from me? What the fuck? Like, why am I the only one fighting this thing? Hello? We're focusing on loot and your healer is dying. Was I dying? No, but like, God. I even looked up an astrologian guide to sort of know what to do for, I forget, but I looked up a guide. Oh shit, he went too far away. Oh, did you hear about Dolly Parton? Oh, you did? I messaged you? Oh. No, the other Eli messaged her. Oh, no! Okay, I see what server you're talking about. No. Yeah, I did message the server. I looked up a guide to forget the guide. It was just about how to like use certain abilities in like which order and stuff, which I appreciated. Okay, you've seen my hotbar now. Imagine it at level 50, okay? Don't start with me about mashing buttons. Especially once I start getting the minor arcana. Oh god, it's so cooked. I roughly understand it, but who knows? I haven't unlocked that yet, but have to be prepared for the moment. Level 80. Oh shit. Okay, you don't want to play Sage. Have you seen Sage? Okay, no, Sage is the most infamous healer because of how much you have to actually read the abilities, know what they all are, and like, it's like the most mentally taxing healer. Oh my god. Okay, well that's not till like Endwalker, so suck a dick. Actually, yeah, it is Endwalker because it's a lady. Well, that's what I figured you'd do because you just level a DPS for 3 and then you get Scholar. Huh? Arcanist. Arcanist. And Limsa Lominsa. You can get a little carbuncle. Kind of. But it actually does stuff. It's not like a regular minion. Yeah, like it's part of the fucking thing. Like summoner and let me talk. Summoner and Scholar is basically using a minion for some of your stuff. I bet you button mash in fighting games. Listen, DG, I'm gonna actually kill this man. Uh-oh. Oh, you mean the dead game? Uh-huh. Makes sense for you. Ah, yeah. You look like you play a dying game. You play Destiny, you play a Marathon, you play 2XKO. I'm noticing a pattern here. Hold on. Marathon is very dead. Ah! Why are they all chasing me? I just had like 5 enemies lock in on me. Only reason Valorant ain't dead is because of the pandemic, for real. Valorant just had very good timing when it came out. Unfortunately for the world. I leveled up. I got my heal over time. Oh. I don't have work tomorrow. You're tempting with a good time right now. Wait, that's the wrong one. Lonely men on Valorant stuck in home and wanting e-girl gamers and e-girls. Let's not forget those. Oh yeah. Listen, I did my time. 12 years of it in Azkaban. It's funny, when I first started streaming, my cousin, or what, before I started streaming actually, my cousins were like, oh, you should stream Valorant. I was like, what the fuck is Valorant? This is like in 2020. I could have been a big name streamer by now, guys. I could have been like so big. Fortunately, I'm reformed. Yeah, unfortunately, I got reformed and then I met my boyfriend. He's an actual boyfriend and not an e-boyfriend. I almost streamed Valorant almost. Oh god, I before my hiatus ended, because I think you haven't been here when I was on hiatus. Before my hiatus ended. The reason for my hiatus was because I was playing Valorant too much. So I started playing Valorant. It's funny. I was going through these cycles of Final Fantasy or the Valorant. And I stopped Final Fantasy for a bit to play Valorant. And I think I played Valorant like I started in May because we technically met in Valorant Premiere in May. And yeah, I was playing Valorant all the time. And yeah, I burnt out. Burnt out fast. And now we're here. And I'm back on Final Fantasy. So it really worked out for me. I got a boyfriend out of it. I play Final Fantasy. Huh? I know. I met a Final Fantasy player on Valorant who's sane. Not a typical e-boy. As in not an e-boy at all. Plus one boyfriend and plus one mental exhaustion trauma. Yeah. You DVD. Yeah. From Valorant. Yeah. Yeah. You are something. I didn't get an e-girl out of it though. I will say I'll give my boyfriend credit. He may be a Valorant player and a Final Fantasy 14 player. Not at all an e-boy. I've had my fair share of experiences with the e-boys, as we all know, but those days are long behind us. I grew up. I matured. I'm such a mature lady now. Oh. I just choked on water. Well, is it water? It's 50% water. Well, I just realized they were talking in. Oh, Oscar was asking who's playing Valorant tonight. Is tonight? Tonight's your day off. Oh, I accidentally did the quest. Hildebrand. Hold on. I accidentally. Yeah, I can't really play myself. Hold on, I have to. Sorry, it was just funny. It was someone got held for saying whore. I've said worse things. I've met Nashu. You want me to? Well, no, because you'll be playing. Join me for the. I've heard. It is not because you're black, because I am black. Well, then again, it's Switch. It might be because you're black. That's why they hate me too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're trying to silence us for real. Why is her booba just... you know what? As I said that, I looked to my right and I saw my model. Let me shut the fuck up. I just saw my VTuber chickle and I said, you know what? Listen, a lot of money was spent on these babies. A lot of money and effort was put into these. Why is Booba big? Look down, Lumin. Oh, a cutscene. I forgot my samosas downstairs. Manderville. Wait, isn't the dance you do? Yeah. Oh. So it's easy to say that he's alive, right? Is he the guy with the white hair? That I always see whenever you guys post gifs of the cutscenes. Oh, Girly Pop's... What is Girly Pop doing? Oh! Oh, period, Nashu. Thank you for the follow. Uh-huh. That's not what I said. This is bullying on your part. Hello, one fellow sprout to another. Hello. I love my sprouts. You mean there's an error getting emote? Trying to see the... It's so cute, wobble. I'm trying to see the wobble emote. What am I doing? Hildebrand and the White Hairman aren't the same person. They're maybe relatives though. Oh. I don't know why I'm asking. Every time I've asked you guys questions, you guys lie to me. I'll never forget when I thought that one person was Urianger. And I said, guys, it's Urianger. And you guys said, no. You lied! I'll never forget that. I never forget that. Cause I was like, no guys, listen, I may be a simp, but I'm a simp that knows her horse, okay? And you guys kept telling me no. And then hold on. I just deafened because he hasn't done the Dark Knight quest. When I was doing the Dark Knight quest, I said, shut the fuck up, John. I said, I was like, is the Dark Knight just me? And you guys were like, oh, we don't know, Lumin. We don't know anything, Lumin. And it was right. I was right. I remember this. I remember why I always got heated and my blood pressure went up playing these games. It was because chat is gaslighting me all the time. Chat gaslighting a puzzle. See, you're gaslighting me now. I'm gonna crash out. I'm calm. John, you are the biggest gaslighter here because I think you were a top tier one. What's your bad? What's your bad, Eli? Oh, I was deafened. You know, gaslight Lumin, well, obviously it's working. I'm gonna crash out. I'm gonna crash out on Eli. I'm gonna crash out on you guys. I'm gonna crash out on somebody. What do you mean you're gonna go? Who said you get to go anywhere? Hates me. You never got. I don't trust you either. I don't trust any of you. How does it make you feel? What did you just say to me? Okay, and you know what? An ad break is about to run right now. You gaslight before. I'm gonna. Where's my gun? I'm gonna get a gun. I'm gonna go get Machinist unlocked real quick. I'm getting a gun. What am I doing? Why am I here? Oh, you do have to do fates. I guess we can do Fisher. How is Fisher one of my highest ones? That's the question. Ooh, I can go do... Oh, I have to go grab this. I have to go to Ulda. Aren't you supposed to be showering? English. What? You know I'm deaf. I guess like you need to do specific fate to progress Hildebrand, yes, because fishing is great. John, you've been trying for like 4 or 5 years to get me into fishing. I played the fucking long game to get me to fishing in Final Fantasy 14. John has been trying to get me into Final Fantasy 14 technically since before I started streaming. Alright, I'm gonna send them on a thingy. We're gonna send them on a deployment. Sure. 11. That's 11 a.m. I'll be on. Actually, let me make them train first before I send them on anything. What game has the worst fishing minigame in your opinion? There's one that raised me. It might rhyme with like wahoo wobbly. It might be something like that. Oh, I don't like minigames. Oh, mithril. Thank God I have mithril. I just got so much mithril ore. I might have garnet as well. I might have raptor skin. Tomorrow I was fishing now? Of course it does. Oh, I already gathered this. Great. Okay, I should actually have a lot of this stuff. It's really like that. I think I have this somewhere. I have exactly one. Okay, Spency has that. Could be ninjas, so when mug things, you get a chance to get extra stuff. True. And this. I have to make more raptor leather real quick. I need an iron acorn. This is a raincatcher gully. Camp Brown's Lake. Alright, so all of us I should be able to do pretty easily. The only thing if I get out is Silver Shark. But this is all doable. Western. Oh, Costa del Sol. Okay, I can do that. Perfect. Oh, grass and stuff. Why'd I get bunk again? What'd I do? I'm innocent. Yeah. Let's see. Get mugged in Balmung? No, I've seen Balmung. I know what Balmung is now. I've seen things. John, it's literally in the SSW channel in the server. I've seen it. You have? Yeah, because you commented. I've seen enough. I've seen enough. I've seen so much. Yeah. Let's see. Need again this. What was everything I needed? I need to get oak. I need silver. Okay, let me go this. Not bad. I have the memory of a TikTok user's crazy way. Wait, did they sell this? Oh. What's my name? I just realized Manderville. Wait. Wait. Oh, he deafened this motherfucker. Is this a coincidence? You don't tell me anything. I just noticed that. Coincidence? I think not. I wouldn't call him my other account. Okay. Oh, I'm so eepy. Okay, let's see. I have so much stuff in my inventory. So actually, let me just desensitize this. No, because it's gonna come up at some point. No, it's not. I'm not a hoarder. These all have a purpose. Everything has a purpose. I'm a crafter, not a hoarder. Look at how empty my chocobo saddlebag is in comparison. It's awesome bag versus ADHD bag. What'd I do? Let me go turn these in real quick because I have them. Where am I? Which one's which though? That's my question. I just haven't had a chance to hyperfixate on my organization again. The way I've reorganized these bags several times in the past week, it's a problem. Okay. All right. All right, guys, we're gonna be a scared little tank. No, we're not doing that. Or should be obvious not. Hi, V! Or Andromeda? Hello, Andromeda! Hello! Hello, Andromeda! Hello, mi amor! Good morning! Well, she has a couple knots. I had to detangle her. Eli has adopted my cats. That's actually why he's coming to where I am, is to meet the kitties. He's gonna meet the voids. Andromeda, I love you to death. You are the very air I breathe. However. Oh, hello! Oh, you're so soft. Hello! Hi, baby! Hi! Oh, you're so cute! You're purring, you're so cute! You're so cute! You're so cute! Hello! Hello! Oh, hello, my little sweetie! Oh, you're so cute! Oh, yeah, hold on, you're supposed to be up here. Get down. He is here for me because I told him to get his daughters, and he said okay, and he booked a flight. We are, however, going to a run fair away from the kids for a couple days, so yeah. All right. I think I know how to do this one. I don't remember. I don't fully remember. I'm kind of scared. Let me type a message. I'm also scared I'm gonna run into someone who's seen my fucking tweet. And you're like, hold on. You look familiar. I don't like this armor on her. Can I make better armor? No. Hmm. Yeah, this one is a bit weird. I don't like healing on it because the tanks always do too much. So as you can imagine, I'm very excited. Yeah, there's a ton of enemies you can avoid. We'll see. We'll see. I have to eat everything. Oh, I forgot to do my. Oh my god, I actually don't remember what anything is. There you go. Go this way, I think. I got to my message. I think we go this. We go this way. I am very, very clearly lost. Hold on. Hold on, I'm dying. Oh, I'm under a status deflection. Oh. Oh, what? No, I'm not done streaming. I'm actively in a duty. I've only been streaming for like an hour and a half. I'd take it to 3 hours. Oh. Oh, so if we wanted to join VC, I switched. Gotta make sure I have the Ekin name, you know? Which stream can you hear me right now? And I'm not giving any explanation for what I just said. There we go. Right here. Good. I'm stressed. I don't know why the healer keeps rushing into these fucking things and aggroing everything. What are you doing? I'm gonna get hit with that. I might die. I might have pulled too much. I forgot what level we're at. No, we survived. And like they keep going super far away. Like what the hell? Oh, fine. Yeah, but I'm very clearly not doing that by the fact that I have been getting lost. There was no communication. And we were all sprouts. Cause I'm a healer main, and whenever they've I've had tanks doing wall to wall, they'll ask first. They're like, oh, are you comfortable doing wall to wall? And I tried to do a wall to wall. They almost let me die. Yeah. We're all sprouts. They should have low expectations of me. I see someone's in the cutscene. Why are you rushing up there? Yeah. Like, why are you attacking? No, they can't hear you. I'm... Okay. Oh my god, my cat just scared me half to death. Can you? I love you to death. Please get down. But yeah, this sprout has very high expectations. Who just did a limit break? I have a feeling I know who did the limit break. I'm gonna start tanking. Somehow I survived tanking. I gotta go nation. It was scary, guys. That was so scary. And Mr. Daeva is occupied for a little bit. So what to do? What to do? Oh yeah, I got I have to do these petitions for the fucking what's it called? Free company. I have 2 people. We need a third. I forgot who my third will be. Need to start healing. Help later. My boyfriend's gonna get on in a second, and then we should be fine. I don't know which one he's gonna level. He needs to level something, so I'm waiting for him to get on, but he's just having tummy issue. Which reminds me of my samosas! Should I go get my samosas? Let's see heat up really quick. Samosas. I'm just thinking about my samosas. I just had some Indian food, some chicken tikka masala. Let me get my new abilities. Blood weapon at 35. I thought that's been known that they were doing a Snoop Dogg collab. I feel like I've heard about that before. Snoop Dogg's and everything because of the Illuminati. Do I know how the pieces fit together? No, but I know that they do fit together. Who's here? Who found me? Oh. You know, I wonder who found me. I wonder who this could possibly be. You know, I have no idea who this possibly could be. I don't have my emotes bound to anything. But I have emotes. Wait, I'm missing some. I have 2 bars solely dedicated to emotes. That's real. That's crazy. Don't. That's crazy work. I think I used to have that. I think that's on my other account. I do need emo bars. I really do. How do I get emo bar? Let's see. We're gonna figure this out right now, actually. I'm gonna do this right now. Is this how you do it? I don't even know how to do shit. Alright, I'll buy a 4. I'm gonna put it over here. Yeah. There you go. Save it. Alright, now how do I show it? I had a hotkey slap. I did mean to add slap in there. Where is it? Ah! That scared me for a second. forget which one is it under. Oh, hopper this. Oh. I want it to be another one. There you go. Don't worry, guys. I got it figured out. I got it figured out. I got it figured out. Oh. Well. What's what we got here? Ooh, I need this one. Hold on. I need this one. And this one. Anyway, drink tea. Oh, yep. There he goes. What else do I have in here? Pet. Remember a vertical line placed on the far right? That's probably also good. I'm only copying what I saw someone else do. What else do I have? Hold on. Oh, my slap! My doubt. Hold on. This might be a problem. Hold on. This might turn into a bit of an issue. 60% size? Yeah, I'm gonna change them in a second. I just want to get them down. Okay. All right. Is it? No. All right. What did you? Oh. Hello. Are you? Are you sure? I don't know about that. What did you smell? You do. Actually, that's a great idea, DG. There you go. Oh. You're right. Put that there. Yeah. Stop him. Where's my slap? That's poke. Stop. Stop. Oh. Don't worry about it. He's not a random guy. Wait. Where are you? Are you watching my stream? Okay, that's not allowed. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. Yeah, I'm supposed to be watching my stream. I'm supposed to be watching my stream. At least not the bad ones who wear loincloths to ride lower mounts. That's true. That is true. Huh? Yes, you're muted on stream. me. I have not had a spoiler sniper yet, knock on wood. If I did, hellfire would rain upon this chat. Chat would lose their chatting privileges for a month. Actually, chat would lose their chatting privileges until I finished Evercold if I got spoiled for Final Fantasy XIV. That's what would happen. That is a guarantee. You'd have to suffer the YouTube stream if you wanted to chat. And I don't look at that chat because I forget that I stream on YouTube. Yup. You guys wouldn't even have emotes, really. Yeah. All I know is that when I get to Shadowbringers, I have to make sure I stream the end of the Shadowbringers post Shadowbringers questline and get welcome to the new world of Endwalker because I saw that happen for someone. All I know is I think before I ever started playing Final Fantasy, I remember I saw a clip of a streamer and I think he either finished Endwalker or he started Endwalker. And like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry thinking about it. There were all these people there greeting him and I sobbed. And I wasn't even into Final Fantasy. I don't even think I had it yet. And I was like, oh my god, it's just so cute. It was so cute. And now I really want my samosas. Because I made samosas, but I forgot to bring them upstairs. I can tell you enjoy the story and that as much as I can say, what does that mean? You mean how I've cried over the story all the time? I think I cried over ARR. Replaying ARR. Okay, shut the fuck up. I hope you choke on a Cheez-It. The story is already making me cry. And ARR isn't bad. ARR is so much better when you don't have an annoying little a-hole in your ear telling you it's bad. Like someone here. Also, thank you for the follow I just saw. I know you don't read. And you want me to believe you can play Sage. Okay, buddy. No, it would not. It would not. And that's, you do not use an intuition for a healing roll. Well, let me tell you, I would never queue with you. No, it's not. Nuh-uh. ARR isn't bad. It's just miles behind future content quality. Exactly. Like, the Heaven's Word was already a step up. Stormblood is a bit slow for me. That's why I didn't really have a lot of qualms about restarting ARR. Sage is an easier healer? Oh. Well, I don't want him playing Sage because he's a bitch. I don't want that. I don't want him taking my healer from me. He doesn't want to play Dark Knight. I'm going to. I said that was it. I said that was going to be my second healer. I said that. I think it is one of the easy ones only because it's streamlined. True. But yeah. He's trying to take my healer from me. I'm not. I'm playing a tank you don't even want to play. The only reason you're going to play it is because I told you you have to play it for the job quest. That's why you're going to have to only play it up to level 50. Are you fucking kidding me? You took my rogue. Yeah, suddenly you're silent. Suddenly you're silent. I'm not taking your whole row. Oh, I will kick you in your whales in a second. Don't you fucking start with me right now. It's the way that chat can't hear you, so it sounds good over. I'm actually gonna crash out. I'm gonna crash out. I'm a heal. I'm gonna crash out. I'm gonna crash out. Get in the fucking game. And then you're playing DPS. Yes, you do. Let me check this right now. You have a DPS somewhere. Oh. How do I do this? Accept this. Accept your burden. I have been bearing this by myself. Thank you. This is literally, I have been holding this burden alone. Tank and healer is the ultimate lovers combo. Don't you start with me, DG. Because he made Omen and I play Sage in Valorant. It's already bad. It's already bad. Oh, do you guys like how I forced him to be an Aura? I forced him into this. I forced him into this. I made him use a Final Fantasia. He had to... Her boyfriend plays Daeva. What was he before? He was just a plain human. And he had like bags under his eyes. I said, that's too ugly. I said, I'm not marrying you in this game if you look like that. Yeah, boring human. Ugh. Oh, sorry. Realistic in a game called Final Fantasy? Oh my god. Yeah, so I turned him into this. And we're looking at us now. Hold on, I just realized. Hold on. This feels racially motivated. Because why is he a light aura paladin and I am the darker aura Dark Knight? Hold on now. This feels... This feels a certain way. This feels a certain way. What do you mean I did this? He chose what he looked like. He chose Paladin. I chose your race. I chose your race. I said... No, you didn't! You said you wanted that one because the stats were better and it looked better. I'm gonna crash out. I'm gonna crash out. I specifically told you to match with me and you said no. I'm gonna crash out. I'm gonna crash out. I'm getting rage baited. I'm getting rage baited. Okay. You see me? Hold on. Eli, before you continue. You're here in a week and a half. Choose your words very carefully. I see you next Thursday. Think very carefully about what you're fucking saying right now to me. I will throw punch you when I pick you up at the airport. Okay, that's what I fucking thought. Really? The white people are the peaceful race? You're going to say that one right now? You can't defend yourself right now either. The in-game lore, he says, is he wanted to play a paladin, and the lore for it was that those people were more peaceful than my people. Okay. Okay. That's why I mean we can't hear him, but that's exactly, you can't hear him. He hasn't earned his speaking privileges. I'm switching it on. There, now they can hear you.
Okay.
I know you like to say slurs. You're not allowed to say slur.
That's crazy. That's crazy work. I'm not the one that says them.
What does that mean? I'm allowed to say my slurs. I'm still talking about the male and female. Yeah, that's what I say. I think he even chose a shorter one. He did choose a short.
As short as possible.
Yeah, I chose as tall as possible. And look at this. Mind you, he's a scrawny white man.
Below average. I think I went slightly below average. I didn't go as short.
Yeah, because I told you not to do super short. Yeah. Nolly, what are you doing? Short Oda males are 6'1". Couldn't beat you. We're the same height.
I'm taller than you.
Okay, you're taller than me by half an inch. That means nothing.
Probably like a full inch.
No. Of course a male would think that. Why am I so tiny? Look into your DPIs. Look into your DPIs.
I'm not even in a party yet.
Oh. Look into DPS. Actually, don't switch to DPS. We have to do something else first. we have to do something else first. 6 foot versus 5'10". Female Odas are like 5'4" at their tallest. No. Oh, I'm so short. I'm so small. Just a little guy. A little guy with this awesome armor. I look so cool. I look so cool. Estinian who? I look so cool. I want no other armor ever. I want no other armor ever. I want no other armor ever.
I want the Edge Guardian helmet.
Okay, showing off the relic weapons is kind of crazy. Okay, go fuck yourself. Hold on. Are you my party? Okay, I'm a healing. I can't do it. Both you rage baiting me. I can't do this. They're tomb weapons. Tomb weapons. Okay. Tomb weapons anyone can get. Oh. Okay, I knew someone had relic weapons, John. What is this?
What?
Level 60?
The glamour is the glamour for the weapon is the relic.
Alright, I'm forcing us to Halatali. I can't do this anymore. We're all flexing right now with it. Oh, wait, Halatali is level 20.
Oh, it's on level 20.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, which one do I have to do?
Wait, no, it says you need to fight the Hydra.
Hold on. Oh, I have to do
outside Halatali. No, like the actual places outside of it. So
no. Shh. I was reading the thing and it says I have to do this trial. And I was trying to pick it up, and someone yapping in front of you, legally allowed to emote on him. Oh, you're right. I can't. Where? Get over here. He's literally running away from me. There you go. Okay. Go crazy. Okay. See guys? He just does this dance all the time. I have no context. This is what I've been seeing during my hiatus, guys. This is what I see every day. Hildebrand dances peak. Okay. Oh god. More of you. Oh god.
I love Hildebrand.
We know. Okay, bunny. I'm a healing. It makes sense that you're a bunny boy. Okay. Your favorite AFK dance? Oh my god. Apparently Adas, I saw a tier list on Twitter, and I was like, Adas are Ada females are bisexual women. Ada males are bisexual men. And also female Vieras were bisexual women. I think Viera men. I forget what they were. I have to find the tweet again. I feel like, were you the person who mentioned that you have Rogaden? Your chocobo helmet. True. Yeah, the chocobo. There. Oh my god, what is that? Oh. We abandoned I'm a healing. Oops. I'm scared.
I haven't actually done this like proper ever.
Okay. Well, remember, we're in a public thing. I'm scared.
Not really. Actually, I did this in a pre-made team. I've never done this random. Doing things random is weird. Oh, whoops. Not what I do. Oh, doing it not minimizable is like a piece of cake.
You think you have this trial? Oh. The way it's so obvious who's doing it for the quest. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I was banned by my boyfriend. You guys see that? He didn't welcome me at the end of the thing. I have to go see Geralt again. Let's go, you're my ride. Oh wait, that's right, I'm an independent woman. I have chubs. I have chubs.
This is faster though.
But it's Chubbs, look at how cool he looks.
He's pretty cool looking.
That was the only right answer to say. Let's go. I'm a healing, I'm so sorry I abandoned you. Yeah, he didn't welcome me to the exit. He didn't G-pose with me after. Exactly. Boyfriend taxi, how convenient. I feel like we're fulfilling many stereotypes in Final Fantasy today. And so glad we don't live together yet, where I can yell at him from the other side of the place. Alright, how do I get out of here? I almost kicked you from the party. How do I leave? How do I...
Wait, just get rid of it.
There we go. Oh, I did that. Yee, he got the car. Ifrit hard, Garuda hard, and Titan hard. AR's death. Real. All right, you ready to do Ifrit hard and all of these hard? Thank you for the follow. Okay, okay, okay. Dismiss poor chubs. I'm not getting in the whale.
Whale time, whale time. Everybody gets in the whale.
Oh my god. You go find a freaking Lancer arm real quick. I could make my own, or we can probably get one. It is an 8-person mount. It is. That it is. I'm gonna get distracted if you keep spinning it. Oh, and he keeps spinning it. Okay. Alright. Bowl of Embers hard. You ready?
I saw that mount. I saw that motorcycle mount. And I thought about buying it.
Ever.
Cool.
I'm a healing. Do you want to join us for these trials? I can't tell.
If I do it with my warrior, I can carry it for it probably.
Huh? What do you mean?
Like we do. Oh, I guess actually no. You can just register for these, can't you? Never mind. I forgot these are like matchmaking things.
Well, they don't have to. I just have to do the thing it says. It's just I can't access
It's probably
it.
easier that way.
All right, which way do you want to do?
Matchmaking.
You want to do matchmaking?
Just use Viewfinder. Just use your.
Okay. All right. Do not invite to the company. Holy shit. Okay. Full of Embers hard. It shouldn't take us that much time. Are you tired or something?
Hmm?
Are you tired? Oh, just rubbing your eyes a lot. If right hard, yes. I have to do Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan. Can't wait to do Titan again. Garuda. Technically, I ended before I do Garuda. Actually, this is probably the prime time to do all these trials. Everyone's home from work. Oh, what the fuck? Oh,
I died.
thankfully it was the DPS and not a healer.
I would be fine anyways.
Okay.
Robin has so much. I mean, Warrior has so much self heal.
Holy shit. Alright, you. I love you to death. Get down. Go. Get. Okay. Let's go. Alright, now we have to do Howling Eye. What the fuck? Oh. How the fuck do you guys get these things? I'm just they're in a snowman. They're in a snowman.
Oh, you should see my monk class. Hang on.
Your monk class?
Oh,
Okay.
it's naked right now. Hang on.
Yeah, I saw them.
I need my glamour plate.
Don't worry, I saw your monk class. I saw them.
I can't equip glamour here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't equip glamour. It's outrageous. I need to go somewhere I can equip glamour.
Okay, well, you're not getting there anytime soon. Okay, so we're supposed to do Howling Eye now. Wait, oh shit. You go get into your fucking thing. I actually almost killed you. I almost killed you when I realized. I was like, why does it say 3 DPS?
That wasn't my fault. You knew I just wished it.
No, I didn't know. You know I don't know. I'm dumb.
You saw it naked.
I wasn't paying attention to you. Yeah, I would have been like a 20 plus minute queue. It's bad enough I'm on DPS for these queues. Meow. 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 Oh. Prize and ninja. Poor John. Alright, I remember nothing. Who am I hitting right now? What the fuck? Oh, there we go. Shit.
A minimum item level, those guys are running induce right there.
Alright. Now I just need the naval hard. And then you're both free of me. Which the naval isn't that bad hard, is it? I feel like it's easier than Garuda. I don't remember.
The enable's not that bad, except for like the wipe mechanic, but the wipe mechanic won't be bad in this. The wipe mechanic's only bad on minimum idle.
Okay. Understood. Under. Naval is easy peasy. On stream, so we don't worry. Okay, bet.
Oh, Isaac's online if you want to invite him to the thing. Get him to sign the petition.
Oh, yeah, we can get him after this. We have to lock in. Do we want to join VC
Mr.
to see if
PV.
he... Do we want to join VC? Or no?
We can.
After
Yeah.
this, because I can end stream after this. Make it a quick stream. Oh god. I forgot about this. Oh my god. Oh shit, don't go do that. We want to talk about how I went directly for a fucking thing.
I'm trapped in a rock.
It's okay, it's almost dead. It'll be fine. I got the astrology thingy. Hell yeah. In extreme, it's awful if you do a minimum level, no echo. Oh, I see. Oh, I can turn it in! Isaac joined BC, I think. I'm gonna go.
Yep.
Okay. Alright, I'll end stream in a second.
Right, see you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do more. I'll probably do it off stream. As much as I want to see on stream, I am EP. So I'll probably nap in a second. But thank you, I'm healing. And thank you guys. I appreciate you a lot. Have a good days, and we'll be streaming more tomorrow. Way more tomorrow, I think. Yeah, have good days. Bye bye.